Welcome to Exxon Photography. We spent the holidays over Christmas and New Year's Eve in Spain, where Anna comes from, and I'm now here in Lightroom where I edit the images, and I took altogether about 15,000 images and I've made a selection about 5,000, and I'm going to edit the images. But before that I wanted to show you just how the images look like. It's straight from the camera. You see the JPEG files here. No, it's the RAW file, but the image you see here is actually the JPEG file. And I had one camera, one lens, very simple setup. It was the Canon 60 Mark II with the 35mm Sigma art lens. And I'm going through these images. I show some images big, some images small, just so you get an idea about it. Now, these landscape shots, I use different apertures. Here, for example, I shoot the aperture, we can take a look at, maybe f4.5, something like this, f14, so everything is actually sharp and in focus. Here, for example, I set the aperture to f1.4, so very different. I use the maximum settings here. The fastest aperture f1.4, the lowest ISO 50, and the fastest shutter speed 1/4000. Now sometimes people ask, when it's daylight and sunny and it's Spain, we are here in Malaga, can you use the 60 Mark II because it only goes to 1/4000 of a second shutter speed, not 1/8000 like more expensive cameras. And I very rarely find it as a limitation. And usually, even with daylight and sunlight, and I shoot many weddings over the year where it's always sunny, I don't have any problems shooting between f1.2 and f1.8 with any lens. So there are people who say you might need to use an ND filter, but I never had the need for that. So that's just my experience. Now I'm here in Malaga. Anna's family lives half an hour away in a small town called Nerja, and I went to Malaga for one day. I wanted to just enjoy photography. I went alone, just being a boy with a camera, doing what he loves. I just walked around, took pictures of everything, and it was still rather early, so there were not so many people in the city center. The shops hadn't really opened, and so I walked around a little bit just to get the time over until the city starts to live. And I really like having one lens because you firstly, the weight that you carry around is not so much, and you are not thinking so much about changing lenses, and you really get to know the lens. If I had a second lens with me, I would not have gotten to know the lens. Now I know the lens already because I have it for a couple of years. I shot many images with it, and when I travel, I always think about which lens do I bring. If I don't have a shooting there, I don't have an important shoot, I just choose one or two lenses, but I have more fun bringing only one lens, and I chose the Sigma 35mm art lens. Why did I choose that lens? Because I don't like that lens much. I always bring the lens that I use the least and that I like the least. So I really have to fall in love with it because I don't have anything else there. So all these images are taken with the Sigma 35mm art lens, and aperture wise I shoot everything. I go sometimes to f4, this is f9, then I go to f1.4 again. I'm switching back and forth all the time. f14, so everything is sharp. f16, the maximum aperture, and then I switch again to maybe f14, and what are we here? Here's f11. Now portraits, f1.6. So I was walking around and we come here to the harbor, to the port of Malaga. It's a new place. You see a really nice attraction here. There are big boats behind this art thing. So here are all boats. And I was walking around and I was looking for people to photograph. And I found this girl right next to this building. And she was waiting for her boyfriend who was at a job interview. And she was standing there looking like she's bored. And this is a really nice moment to get to a photo shoot. So I asked her if she'd like some pictures. And she said yes. I filmed the shooting with the second camera in my other hand, in my left hand. And I shot at f1.6, I think mostly. Now here you can, let's just take a look at the settings. ISO at 100, 1/4000th of a second, the maximum f1.6. And to get the warm color, I shoot at high Kelvin values in the white balance. Now the white balance makes the color. If you use auto white balance, you mostly get cold colors, because auto means everything has to be good for everyone. And usually it's not too warm, it's not too cold, but generally I think auto white balance is mostly too cold for portraiture. And if you want colors like this, now this is all straight out of the camera, I haven't touched any of these images. This is what comes out of the Canon 60 Mark II, shooting manually everything. You've seen the settings, ISO very low, ISO 50, aperture wide open, f1.6. The camera goes to f1.4, but I use f1.6. 1/4000th of a second shutter speed. I leave all the settings as they are. White balance very high, 8000 Kelvin or higher. And this is what comes out of it without any editing. Now, here is a lot of headroom, which means there's a lot of space between the head and the top of the image. I would cut this out like this, maybe like this. And I'm going to edit all the images again in a different look, but I just wanted to give you an impression, how do images look like from the Canon 60 Mark II, straight from the camera. These are the JPEG, the embedded files they are called, which means that this is the preview file that you also see on your camera, and this is how the JPEG looks like straight from the camera. Now people criticize the 60 Mark II heavily. All reviews that were written when the camera came out really crushed the camera. One thing was dynamic range. Dynamic range means that from the lightest part to the darkest part, the capacity and ability to show the brightest part and the darkest part. Now let's take a look at this image here. The darkest part is this area and the brightest part is here. Here's the sun somewhere. And the camera, parts of the sky here are burned out. If I put the image dark, you see this will still be lit. And this is the dynamic range of the scene. The dynamic range here is very high because I shoot against the sun. The sun is always the brightest point in the planet, so there's nothing brighter than the sun. If I have the sun behind me, you get an image like this with a very low dynamic range. Everything looks fine, everything's perfect, nice colors, easy for any camera, no matter how old it is. And many people crushed the Canon 60 for its dynamic range. Now, I never had a problem with its dynamic range. I took many images. I still use the Canon 60 Mark I as my main camera. Shot over 1,300,000 images with it. Still my main camera. I have the 60 Mark II and I don't really need that, but I bought it. And it's my family camera. It's the camera I use when I'm not on a job. It's the camera I bring to a holiday like this because it's very easy to use. And I do shoot some shoots with it, but when it's very serious and I bring two cameras, 60 Mark I does the job perfectly. 60 Mark II makes many things easier, but it's not important for me to have it easier. Yeah, I just walk around here. We are in Malaga, the city of Malaga, and I just photograph everything. And you know, I think most of these images I don't have to edit. You know, an image like this, I could leave it as it is. Image like this, I could just leave it as it is. Perfect, 26 megapixel. Can print it very largely. Shot at f2.2. ISO 50, the lowest, 1/640th of a second. White balance very high. I never shoot auto white balance because the image will look very cold. I like warm colors. And so I shoot everything manually. And it doesn't really matter if an image is too dark. Now we can just go into one image, maybe let's just go into one image. So this image might be very dark. We can just brighten it up easily. Maybe just like this, make it still a little bit warmer, just like this. And I think this is already great. And then I can go to the next image, maybe this one. I can say do the same, but now to this image, I click here, and then everything will be done like this. And then this is the final image. It's always I edit very quickly. It's always a couple of seconds. You never need a minute for an image. Click again here. And so even if an image looks very dark, it doesn't really matter, because any camera today can handle brightening things up, unless you really mess an image up, unless it's really, really too dark. But usually, even if you mess it up a little bit, you can get something like this very quickly, very easily from this image. Left is before, right is after, editing time 3 seconds. And but I wanted to show you these images unedited, and because I think there are not so many videos about unedited images straight from the camera that you can watch. And it's all one camera, one lens. You could say this is a type of essay. I'm just going through and talk about it, and what I want is you to get an insight. How do images look like from the Canon 6D Mark II unedited? How do images look like from the Sigma 35mm art lens? And how does Malaga look like? And I find an image like this looks very, very great already. Now it's not straight, everything is really not straight here, and we have a lot of headroom here, so I would change that. But just the texture and the look of the image looks already totally fine. I would not have to edit anything here. I could leave it as it is. I can straighten it a little bit, and just so it's not so off. But the black and white look is really beautiful. I really enjoy shooting black and white. When I shoot in black and white, I put the contrast very high, sharpness very high in the picture profile. Now all these images are unedited straight from the camera. Why is it unedited straight from the camera in black and white? Because these are the JPEG previews. So this is what it actually looks like in the camera. I found a restaurant. Now here you see, I think this I shot maybe in auto white balance, and this I shot in shade. You see a huge difference in the color. Now the settings are the same, all the other settings are the same, but the color, this looks very neutral, a little bit cold, this looks very warm. The difference is created by the white balance. If you shoot auto white balance, you will never get warm colors without any afterwork, putting afterwork into it. Now the Sigma 35mm lens is a lens that you can use to take some selfies like this, and this would also look like this if you film yourself, which is also a nice way with the 6D Mark II with the flip out screen. Now because the camera has face detection, some people think face detection is not so good because the eyes are not in focus, but actually face detection, it is focused on the eye. Here is my eye super sharp. I'm shooting here at f1.4 wide open, and the camera has no problem at all for an image like this. Because I have the flip out screen, I can already see the image before I take it, and I see, am I in focus? And yeah. So what's difficult sometimes, especially in the southern countries, when you are not from there, when you're a tourist, is take images of strangers. That's what I love to do. So I walked around and talked to people on the streets, and I photographed them. And this is how it looks like. Now they were sitting here, there were many people sitting here, and it's not so easy doing this when there are many people watching you, because when I approached these two, right here to the next were sitting many people, and they all looked at me. What is he doing there? Because you could see just that I don't know these guys, and they don't know me. And then I put out the camera and I start shooting, and I think it turned out really nice. I mean, you see here, you see how many people are sitting here all along the line, and they were all watching as I talked to the couple. But to me it's about doing what I love, which is taking pictures, and it has to be in the good of somebody else. Somebody has to have something out of it, and that somebody should not be me. So I usually don't have many pictures of me in one holiday, but I will have many images from many people that sometimes I don't know and that I will never meet again, and I don't take any money for it. I do it all for free because of what it makes of me. Not what I get for it, it's what I become from it. And in a way you could say I pay for these photo shoots, and that's totally fine because I love photography and I love doing it for others. I love creating emotions and capturing them. Now these images, they will be there for a long time, and I think they get some really nice images of themselves. I'm very happy, and that is what makes me feel the most alive. That is what I love to do, and if I can do it, I'm very happy. And I usually take pictures of my girlfriend, but there are always times when she says, enough, photograph something else. Then I photograph my son and friends and friends of friends. And then when everybody is photographed, I go out and photograph strangers. And I always feel very loved, and I get a lot of warmth on the streets. You can see it in the faces. You can see in somebody's face if they like the moment or not, if they are with me or not. And usually everybody I photograph, I give them a lot of love and I get the love back, and you usually can see it in the image. And that's what is success to me. Success is the moment when I do what I love and I don't want to be anywhere else. When I'm doing these photo shoots, no matter where and no matter the weather, it can be in Germany in the rain, it can be in Spain in the sun, it doesn't matter. That is when I'm most alive, and I don't want to be anywhere else. If you would give me two options, I could stay on the beach a weekend, or I could shoot 2 weddings on a weekend. I would always choose 2 weddings, and I would do it for free. And I will do it for free this year one time. I shoot 1 wedding for free, and I want to do it every year just because. Now in Germany, I do these photo shoots on the streets also very often, and the people can buy the images, but when I film it, so I filmed all these shootings, you can find it on this channel soon, they get all images for free. And I just wanted to show you how it looks like straight from the camera. You see the consistency in color, you see the consistency in the lighting, and most of these images, it's not much to edit. I can straighten it a little bit, the horizon is not straight, but from the color, from the brightness, darkness, everything actually is pretty nice. And this is what they call color science from Canon. Many people talk great about the color science, which means how the colors look like. And here you have some examples, because these are all unedited, straight from the camera. Now photographing people on the streets is a difficulty in itself, and doing it in a foreign country is even more difficult. And I'm a really shy guy. I talk slow, I talk calm, I'm very calm. And the Spanish people have a lot of energy. They are always moving, they're always laughing, it's always loud here. And when I talk to somebody on the streets, it's actually not so easy that they actually stop and listen to me. And because it's difficult, that's what I love. I don't want easy, I've had it long enough. I don't want that it works all the time. I want the struggle, I want the difficulty, because only when it's difficult, I feel success when it actually works. When everybody says yes every time and everything works, it's so easy that I don't get any great emotion out of it. And what I want and what I live for is emotion, to create it and to have it myself. And the best thing is to create it for others, and in that moment I also have great emotions. So being in the photo shoot is the reward for me. I don't care about the money that I get. It's not something that I work for. I don't work for money, I work for becoming somebody. I have an image of me, who I want to become in a couple of decades. And what I'm doing on a daily basis is building up that person. And it doesn't matter how much I make over the time. When you think about the people that you admire, might be movie stars, musicians, it's never about the money that they have in their bank account. You don't even know how much they have. It's mostly about the struggles that they went through, the difficulty that they overcame, and what they became. What they became inspires. It's never the money that inspires. You don't know the bank account of the favorite actor or musician, and that is not what inspires you. What inspires you is maybe somebody who started with a guitar on the street and who plays now stadium tours and is the most famous and well-paid musician of our time, like Ed Sheeran. That's the story. And that is what inspires. Okay, that was one day in Malaga. You've seen now Malaga, the people of Malaga. You see what comes out of the 6D Mark II unedited with the Sigma 35mm art lens. The portraitures I mostly shoot at f1.4, f1.6, f1.8. I don't use any other apertures. I never shoot at f2.8 if I have a f1.4 lens. That was one day in Malaga. I hope you enjoy it. We will do workshops there. So if you like the images that you see, we will give a workshop in Nerja, which is this place here. Very beautiful. I met these two in Nerja. I talked to them on the streets. I said, you look really nice. If you like, I take some pictures of you. I give them to you for free. They said no and went off. We met again because this is a small place. I photographed them. He then bought a house there. They now partly live there for a couple of months, a year. And I'm going to shoot their wedding in August now, 2019. And this is what can happen. When you do something for others, there's always something coming back to you. If you do it if you do it from the inside. Now, when I do these shootings for free, I do it because I want it. And it always gives me a great feeling. And it happened a couple of times that I photographed somebody on the streets, and half a year later I had a wedding in another country because of that shooting. And yeah, this is the place called Nerja. This is where I met Anna. This is where her parents live. And this is where we also will do the workshop. This is how it looks like in December at the end of the year, when on all other places on the planet it's winter. Here you can be on the beach dancing around just in a shirt. And yeah, that was it from my side. I will go through some more of these images over the next days, weeks, and I will then edit them and probably show you again some of them. Yeah, if you like them, go through my channel. We have now 1,200 videos from all over Europe. Take a look at them. All created as a one-man army. And if you like it, enjoy them.